So let's start with Saturday night, the night of the elections. So basically, all the pre-election polls shows that none of the coalition will get the minimum number, which is 112 to form a government. But what was not widely expected was that the top two contenders had a difference of only 8 seats. So Pakatan Harapan, the front leader, had about 80 seats, and the other group, Perikatan Nasional, had about 70 seats. So they were very close together. Because of that, both sides were scrambling to try to put together a coalition to reach the minimum number. So the king decided that he will give them a deadline until today, 2 p.m. in Malaysia time, to tell him who had the numbers. But because both sides couldn't agree on the numbers, the king has decided to give an additional 24 hours. So this is the final deadline. So by tomorrow afternoon, I'm quite clear that we will have a government in place in Malaysia.
Who do you think is going to be the likely person to lead that government and be Prime Minister?
So the two contenders are, of course, Anwar Ibrahim for Pakatan Harapan, and the second contender is somebody who's also very well known in Australia, a guy called Muhyiddin Yassin. Muhyiddin Yassin was actually the Prime Minister from 2020 to 2021. So he's trying to make a comeback. Right now, it's too close to call who will have the upper hand, but it's my understanding that it is very, very close in terms of the numbers. The last time I looked, it appears that Muhyiddin Yassin had the upper hand.
Yeah, interesting. And James, you know, it was a very strong turnout by all accounts. What do you think was driving that?
So in terms of the turnout this time was actually lower than the last general election in 2018. But the difference is that this time the absolute number was bigger because the difference between 2018 and the current election in 2022 was that they had an additional 6.8 million voters. So these are what we call the those who are in 18 to 21-year-old plus automatic registration. So what we suspect happened was that a lot of people came out, but unfortunately the young people did not come out in large numbers. If the young people had come out in large numbers, Anwar Ibrahim would have won quite easily.
Which is so interesting because he's got a good, solid portion of the vote, yet his efforts to get across the line and finally be Prime Minister just seem to be so difficult.
Yes, I think that is one of the reasons why a lot of people in Malaysia are complaining now. They're saying that the current first-past-the-post system is not really working for Malaysia. This is quite normal in such a system. As long as you don't look at the percentage of votes, if you go by first-past-the-post, this is one of the consequences of such a system.
What was interesting, and maybe people did not see coming, was just the rebuke, the defeat that UMNO suffered.
Yes. So prior to the election, all the pollings were showing that UMNO will win between 60 and 70 seats. So this time they ended up with only 30 seats. The only explanation for that was that people voted against UMNO because they were worried that if UMNO wins the election, the president of UMNO, a guy called Zahid Hamidi, who's currently got a couple of corruption cases, they were worried that if he comes in as part of the new government, all these charges will disappear. But I think also at the back of most people's mind is that if UMNO gets into power again, I mean, hold real political power, they will try to arrange a royal pardon for Najib Razak.
And that is such a, I mean, in a sense, that gave them a very clear message about how people feel about justice in the case of the 1MDB scandal.
Yes, absolutely. If you go around anywhere in Malaysia, most people are there that they're really glad that Najib Razak is in jail. So right now, they're waiting for the wife to join the husband.
Yes, indeed. And of course, the veteran of Malaysian politics, Mahathir Mohamad, is this the end of the line for him?
Yes, I think so. He's currently 97 years old. He not only lost the election, but interestingly enough, he lost his deposit. So the way it works in the Malaysian system is that you have to get about 12.5% of the votes in that particular seat. The idea is that if you don't get that amount, you're not a real candidate, you're just a joker. So he lost, and he didn't even get anywhere close to 8% of the seats. So he lost the election deposit, but more importantly, his son also lost. So this was an outright rejection of not only Mahathir, but the Mahathir political dynasty.
Yeah, it would appear to be over. Do you think UMNO is going to play some part in any coalition that is formed?
I think whether you like it or not, UMNO still is a bloc. They have about 30 members. So it's really a question of which of the major coalitions can offer them the best deal. So it is my understanding that UMNO is looking for survival. In other words, they want to get into a coalition which will allow them to recover their party machinery and build a party up again from the grassroots up. Yeah. So they really have to look at both sides and see who can offer them a deal. So right now, both sides are talking to UMNO, but unfortunately, they're talking to different factions in UMNO.
So we'll see what eventuates. You know, whoever inherits the Prime Ministership, the government, it's going to be a very big task ahead, is it not?
Yes, I think most people do not realize that the pandemic has really damaged Malaysia's economy, especially lockdown for 2 years. So whoever is coming in will really have to rebuild the economy. The problem is that the world will be facing a lot of economic problems next year. Part of it has got to do with the Ukraine war. But generally speaking, I think the big problem for Malaysia is not only the economic headwinds, it's the fact that the ringgit keeps falling. It's very difficult for you to trade internationally if your currency is not stable.
Yeah, and it's an issue facing many people across Asia, James, the falling currencies and then, of course, the cost of doing business. Really interesting result. We'll watch with interest tomorrow as to how it evolves. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.